Hi there folks, welcome to RRTV's live coverage of the ANZCAR Thursday Night Thunder coming to you from Texas, and it's round 9 and that's Steve, and it looks like the track's super slippery.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised, Bernie. How are you tonight? Good day, viewers. We're in for some fantastic racing tonight too. The trucks were here on Monday night, and believe me, this track is fast.
Yeah, it definitely looks fast. I've noticed in practice tonight, though, quite a few guys getting into a bit of trouble on the exits, especially up that back straight. So that is something we'll keep a close eye on tonight for sure. The other thing is tonight we'll be going over that race very shortly, but it's 110 laps around here tonight, so I reckon the guys are going to have their work cut out for them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Bernie. It's a track, it's very specifically the line you take. Now, if you get the line wrong here, you will have all sorts of trouble. It's going to wash off speed. Your tyres are going to suffer more. You get into a groove at this place, and believe me, you will be fast and you will be competitive. And we saw some great racing Monday night, which we're about to find out about. But tonight, I'm expecting the same.
Yeah, I'm expecting it as well. I'm just having a look at how many drivers we've got. We've got 21 drivers out there at the moment shaking down their cars. And before we get into the truck segment of our pre-race show and look at those highlights from Monday night, a few shout-outs. We'll shout out to George Gibbs. Once again, George, welcome to RRTV, up bright and early, having his breakfast and enjoying our coverage from the United States of America. And another shout out to James Foster. He's in the chat room ready to watch the coverage, and he basically said he's hoping for a great result for his brother Edward.
Oh yeah, look, it'll be fantastic to see Edward do well here. As I said, it's a fast track. Edward enjoys all kinds of tracks, but I got a feeling he may do well here. Edward's a good fast racer. He likes to get close. He likes to go quick, and he absolutely goes to bed at night dreaming about passing people. So this should be great. And yeah, a good day to James from me as well. Hope you're doing well, mate, and hope to see you back on track at some point.
Yeah, it'll be definitely great to see him out there on track again at some point, that's for sure. But anyway, let's get into Monday night's truck racing, folks. We have the truck highlights and a very special voice calling it all the action here tonight. So without further delay, let's go over and have a look at how the trucks went here at Texas on Monday night.
Welcome to the round 9 highlights of the ANZCAR Monday Night Truck Series, brought to you by 131 Web Radio. And straight off pole position was number 42, Ray Schroeder. And he's got his work cut out for him. Matt Danson and Jackson Callow all over him. And the usual crew following them up. It was a great start, nice and clean, with the first incident not coming up for 25 laps. So there was some great green flag racing. There's Ashley Lear, who brought it home for a podium. Steve Hoppert is actually battling with Nicholas Shiles and Reese May there, as we take another look at the leaders. Number 42, Ray Schroeder. Matt Danson and Jackson Callow in hot pursuit. Some great, close, tight racing all through the night, with Sam Kanagazunas re-entering after a pit stop. He had some early technical issues, which he actually sorted out. Got a great start though, did Sam, and he was in that lead pack chasing down Ray Schroeder. As we continue to see the rear field action, well, mid-pack sort of thing, as these guys are trying to sort themselves out. They're going to go 3 wide there as they chase down Nick Shiles in the 083 vehicle. And he's actually also having a bit of a battle up front there. And this just went on and on. These guys just continued to battle. And Steve Hoppert losing out there in that one. Lost a bit of speed there. And number 11, yes, of course, that's Adam Sampson. And he didn't have a great night, but he certainly didn't have a bad one. He ended up bringing it home 17th at the end. As we continue to see what's going on here. And that's car number 23, I think that's Reese May, just having a bit of a moment as we take back some vision with the leaders. Ray Schroeder still leading. as I said, the first 25 laps were green, and Ray managed to hold the lead for that entire time. As we take in a bit of a view of the entire field heading through, and Sam Katagazinis, Sammy Bobby doing his thing, and he actually did manage to work his way back through the field a bit, managed to bring it home mid-pack after the early issues. As we take a look at car number 14 taking out car number 20, that of course is Aaron Dillon, who took out Blake Neck on that one. They came together, and on the restart we had Matt Danson, who took advantage of the the caution stop, and managed to pick up the lead as the field sorts himself back out. Poor old Jackson Callow getting sort of caught up in everything there, and Ray Schroeder has found himself at the back of the field after that little incident, and coming together with Jackson Callow as Steve Hoppert takes advantage of the lack of speed that Ray was producing at that time. And we've got Nick Shiles and Nicholas Walsh both battling it out there in cars number 083 and 22, as we go on board with car number 46, Jackson Callow, being passed by Steve Hoppert, who was on a bit of a flyer at the time, and they also managed to run down Ray Schroeder in car 42, and Steve had a great night, bringing it home in a fairly decent position, at some point actually even battling with the leaders to unlap himself. As we take in a look at Todd Maxfield and Sam Katagazinis, they're battling. Reese May having a bit of a moment against the wall, and there's Matt Danson leading. Aaron Dillon having a bit of a moment there, managed to gather it back up, straighten it up, and Nick Shiles, he had a great night, brought it home 7th, I believe, in the end, as Todd Maxfield battles with car number 18, of course being Terry Humphreys, as Rob Lee finds himself being passed by Steve Hoppert, as Steve Hoppert intends to try and work his way back through the field. Jackson Callow showing a bit of the damage from a couple of the earlier incidents, being passed by Steve Hoppert and Matt Danson, and Matt was actually leading at the time. Steve Hoppert was a lap down by then, as he also takes on Aaron Dillon, who's also suffering from a lot of damage. Matt Danson then actually takes on Aaron Dillon and gives him the blow-by, but full credit to all of these guys, even suffering the damage, they all pushed on and finished the night. There's some big points, and the championship is halfway through. As we look at James Robbie and Todd Maxfield battling it out, and they did that for quite a number of laps, back and forward in position, side by side a lot of the time, as they come through the turn there, and Todd Maxfield backs off. He was actually pitting at the time, and Nicholas Walsh suffering a bit of a lack of speed there, and Steve Hoppert taking advantage of it. Nick Shiles taking advantage of a lack of speed from Aaron Dillon at the time, and he gives him the blow-by, with Rob Lee chasing down Nick Shiles, and that continued on for quite some time as well. Nicholas Walsh getting a bit loose there into the wall in the later stages of the race, and Ash Lear and Matt Danson after that. Ash leading Matt Danson away, but Matt took the spot back later on. Steve Hoppert battling with Rob Lee. Rob managed to take that spot back, although they weren't actually racing for position at the time, as Rob fought his way back through the field. He suffered a little bit in one of those pit stops and lost a few spots, as we see Matt Danson take the lead back from Ashley Lear, and further back in the field the action still kept coming. Jackson Callow battling to hold on, as Steve Hoppert makes a mistake and allows Jackson Callow, Nick Shiles and Todd Maxfield through, and Steve then struggled to actually catch up with Nick Shiles, and they basically raced each other for 7th and 8th. Third place, number 21, Ashley Lear. Second place, 920, Chris Purnell. And first place, number 30, Matt Danson, the championship leader. Next week we head off for round 10 at Bristol Motor Speedway. That should sort the men from the boys. We'll catch you then. Thanks for joining us. And this has been an ANZCAR presentation.
Fantastic call there, Steve. And we're back live now, folks. From what I could see on the Monday Night Lights highlights, tongue twister, it was good, some good racing out there, Steve.
Oh, yeah, look, it was a fantastic night. Right through the field, some fantastic close racing. The field did tend to spread out a little bit as the race went on. But then in the closing stages, everybody seemed to find somebody to battle with for position as they ran out of time to pick up some points. What I'm actually finding here, though, is it is very slippery. I think you're right, Bernie, and I can't understand the reason why for that. But it was a great night, Monday night here. We certainly didn't have the slipperiness that we're seeing out there tonight.
Yeah, and we'll have a look at the way the points stand after last Monday night, folks. So Matt Danson, he's increasing his lead. He's leading by 102 points now. Total points 403. Nick Walsh is in second on 301 points. Todd Maxfield third on 287 points. James Robbie fourth, he's on 274 points, but I tell you what, Steve, you're up to fifth now on 243 points. So watch out, folks. The Hoppinator is on the move. That's good, isn't it?
I'm pretty happy about it, but it was good to have a nice race on Monday, put it that way. It was a good race and a good result. I drove the wheels off the thing and had a bit to make up for after a couple of dodgy rounds before that. But still a few rounds to go, Bernie, and probably with the exception of Matt Danson, I've got a feeling that second through to fifth and sixth is still up for grabs.
Yeah, it's definitely very close. And sixth, we've got Nicholas Shields on 236 points. Mirko Dortnack on 214. Michelle Callow, she gets into the top 10 now, jumping, I think, about 3 spots for eighth on 212 points. Tim Dawes, ninth on 208. And Dwayne Priest rounds out our top 10 of the ANZCAR Truck Series, and he's sitting on 203 points.
Yeah, no, it's certainly shaping up with a few rounds to go. I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we've got 5 rounds left now, Bernie.
Yeah, I'd say we would have. I'm just having a look at our schedule here at the moment, and we're basically on round 9. We go up to round 14. It's about 5 more rounds to go. Next week's Bristol.
Yeah, the trucks have got Bristol, then Richmond, then Talladega, and then I think it's Dover and Kansas. I think it's what we've got left in the trucks. Not sure whether the Thursday Night Thunder Series will continue to follow that, because when we went to Mosport in the trucks, the Xfinity cars, the Thunder cars, went to Road America last week.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I tell you what, the Xfinity guys, some of them struggled last week on Road America. One of them in particular did not, and that was Thomas Hinz. He's like I called it on the night, he's a road circuit or road track expert, one could say, and he absolutely dominated that race. But let's have a look at the points of the Xfinity Series coming into tonight. So if we bring those up, we've got Jason Martin leading on 337 points, with Josh Micklemore not too far behind him and still a lot to play for on 309 points. Dave Douglas, he's sitting on 287 points in third. Thomas Hinz, he's jumped up from, just having a look here, up 2 positions to sit in fourth now on 286 points, 1 point behind Dave Douglas. Matt Clowett, he's in fifth on 280. Danny G, 269 points in sixth. Steve Williams on 263 points in seventh. Stephen Sandman Clark, he was not there last week and he paid a price, slipping down to eighth. He in fact dropped 5 positions and he's now sitting on 257 points. Ninth, Riley Curtis on 248 points, and rounding out our top 10 of the Xfinity Thunder Series is Craig Lawless, and he's on 241. So I tell you what, Steve, the point gap between first down to 10th, there's still a heck of a lot to play for, and there's still anyone's series.
Absolutely, Bernie. There are no massive point gaps in that entire top 10, which is the difference that we talked about with the truck series, with Matt Danson having such a commanding lead. Matt would, in the trucks, would have really missed a round for anybody to get close to him. But in this, there's just such a close gap, a short gap between each of the guys in the top 10. I'm just looking at Jason Martin at the moment in practice, and yeah, it is very slippery out there, and yeah, I just really can't understand it, Bernie. We certainly didn't have that on Monday night in the trucks, so but at the same time, I've got to say, watching practice, I'm a little bit surprised, or very surprised actually, at the times aren't better. The first few in the trucks at this same track were running 29s in practice and qualifying. In fact, 14th was a 30.3 on Monday night in the trucks. And to find a 30.3 here, you've got to go all the way back to, it's right down to where Roger's sitting, which is 3/4 of the way through the field. So, yeah, I don't know why these are not as... I expected them to be a lot more, less times, basically, lower times. But it's not happening. And looking at the guys, they're slip sliding all over the place out there. I can't understand why, I can't explain it, but it's going to certainly bring another factor of excitement into the race tonight.
Yeah, it certainly is. And let's have a look at the weather. That may be able to explain something about what the guys have out there. Well, it is hot. Coming to you, of course, Fort Worth, USA. It's clear, 35 degrees Celsius or 96 degrees Fahrenheit. So it is a warm one. But do you think that would have much to do with the slipperiness of this circuit?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, the hotter track temp. I don't know. It's a matter of perception. Some guys think that the colder it is, the worse the grip, and other guys seem to think when it's really hot. Now, I tend to think that when it's really hot and the temperature's up like it is now, then that is certainly going to affect the grip level. It all depends on the driver and their style, I imagine, Bernie.
Yeah, I'd say so. Hopefully they're going to settle into a groove, so to speak, as that race progresses. But, of course, we're under qualifying now. We can see Joshua Carroll-Walden. He's one of the first out on his flying lap now, and he'll be coming up to complete his first flying lap. We'll bring up his... the live one. He comes in with a 30.079, so bring up the top 10. That slots him in to provisional pole. He beats out Matthew Clote on 30.175. James Zeitz in third on 32.96. Phil Otto fourth, 33.73, and Craig Lawless rounds out our top five so far.
Well, that's so far, and of course the times are reflecting what I was saying before and what we were talking about with perhaps the grip level. It was only their first time lap, but looking at the 30.3 there for Phil Otto, currently sitting fourth at the moment, provisionally. That is a lot slower than I expected these cars to be. Basically, if you stuck Monday night trucks on this track with these cars tonight, these cars would be struggling to keep up by the looks of it, and it's got to be down to track conditions, Bernie.
Yeah, it would have to be. That's all I can imagine by, as Roger Clark heavily into the wall there on the back straight. That's going to end his qualifying run so far. So already we see some action out there on the back straight, and that's where they were coming unstuck during practice. You can see his father now, Norman Clark. He gets a better run up the back straight here. We'll keep an eye on him. Currently sitting in 16th, and this is his first flying lap. We'll see if he can get this car into the top 10. And I guess if anyone can, the magician can, as he comes down now across the start-finish line. He does a 30.122. That slots him into second position.
Yeah, that's nice work from Norman. Fantastic stuff. They're slipping in front of Matthew Clote. But I'm actually keeping an eye on Roger, and he's just continuing on. And I'm a little bit surprised at that. I thought he would have done the trick that we saw Josh Mickelmore and Jason Martin and a couple of the guys do a couple of weeks back, where they pitted at the end of the first lap and then went out and started a fresh one from the pits, and they got that second time lap in, whereas Roger has just continued on with that damage. So whether that's going to have a massive effect on him on his second time lap, I'm not sure.
Yeah, well, I think it did. He's carrying a lot of front-end damage So I'm not sure how that's going to, I'm assuming it's going to affect his top end speed. You can see now Jason Martin in the number 21, he's out there on his first flying lap now as he's coming across the start finish line. What's he do? First man into the 29s with a 29.893. So
yeah, nice.
Yeah, nice lap.
Yeah, Rogers pitted it now. He's decided to bin that car. Still waiting on a time from Bruce Smith, Josh Micklemore, Stephen Williams, Mirko Doutnak, Kai Sloggett, Daniel Stevens, Thomas Hinds and Darren McKenzie, all yet to register a time. And just having a look at the moment, and Josh Micklemore sitting at the pit exit, and I'm still trying to find any of the others that are actually out on track. Thomas Hinds is on track at the moment, Bernie.
Yeah, we've got the camera trained on him now. He's coming through turn 4 here at Texas, starting his fast lap now as he comes down the tri-oval. And folks, you can keep an eye on how he's going by looking in the bottom left-hand corner there. You've got the live timing, and we'll follow him here for a lap and see what Thomas can do. I tell you what, he's carrying a lot of momentum from last week. His road racing exploits, one could say, and we'll see if that carries on tonight. But, you know, he was the first to admit last week he's used to the road circuits. He's not too bad on the ovals as well, but I think he's more at home on the road circuits. He's coming through first lap, 5th fastest so far, 30.197. So a little bit of work to do, but I tell you what, the top 5 apart from Jason Martin, they are all extremely close. So that bodes well for some good tight racing tonight.
And the fact that Jason Martin's still the only driver out there to crack a 29, that's very surprising for me. But I think it may also be a bit of an omen to the rest of the field. I mean, if Jason's the only one to crack into a 29 in qualifying, at a track like this, I expect Jason to probably dominate again tonight. It's a fast track. If you get in the groove and you get your line worked out and you stick to it, then yeah, somebody like Jason Martin, I think he's going to be very tough to beat tonight.
Yeah, and I'm not going to say the person's name in the chat channel, and I don't want you to say it anyway, but let's call him PH. He wants to, he's basically saying you can match or lower the PSI to match a cold track with a hot one. And you can only raise PSI so much. So I'm not sure what he's talking about there, but you might be able to enlighten us.
Yeah, I understand what he's talking about, but at the same time, this is a fixed setup. So there's not a lot the guys can do as far as that's concerned. There are only about 3 or 4 little things that they can change. But yeah, in an open setup, then you've got the freedom to do the tyres, the pressures. You can do all sorts of stuff to allow for it. But unfortunately, we've got a fixed setup situation, and so that option's just not available to the guys.
Yeah. And of course, if it was a Cup Series, that would be available to them. But looking at tonight, folks, 110 laps around here. We do have safety cars employed for the race. Those new to the series, as far as fast repairs go, they get 0. As far as incidents go, they get unlimited. But as it is with NASCAR racing, you get caught in the big one, and it doesn't matter how many incident points you've got up your sleeve, that car's toast, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, just still trying to figure out what Josh Micklemore's doing. I've got a feeling that we've got a few guys going to be happy to start from the back of the field tonight and see how things pan out. Just about out of time, so I can imagine Josh is not going to run a qualifying lap. Kai Sloggett, he is not out on track. Mirko Doutnak and Darren McKenzie. It doesn't look like any of those guys are actually going to run a qualifying lap, so they'll start at the back. Josh may be happy to do that. He probably is well aware that this track lends itself to a lot of passing and a lot of close, very high-speed racing. So my guess is going to be that that's what his plan is for tonight.
Yeah, and we've seen that previously where they work their way through the field. Could be a good move. We've got 20 22 cars on the server at the moment. The only danger I can see when you're doing that, you can get caught up in other people's incidents and find your race pretty much over. The other person that I don't see on the track tonight is Stephen Sandman Clark. So this is the second week he's missed out. So hopefully he's okay and we'll see him back on track next week.
Yeah, so sort of a little while ago I was looking through the list there and he was a bit obvious by his absence, Bernie, but yeah, look, hopefully everything's good with Sandman and he's not unwell or anything like that or had a disaster in the family or anything like that. Let's hope it's work commitments or something along those lines that's keeping him out for, at least the second round in a row now.
Yeah, I think what happened was the Easter Bunny came and he's still getting through all those chocolates that he got. I think he got like a keg of liqueur chocolates. Well, it's make it yourself liqueur chocolates. You get the keg and then you add the chocolate to it. Maybe
he's stuck on the lounge in front of the TV and can't get up.
That's probably it too. We can see the guys are starting to grid up out here, folks, and we're going to take you through the grid so you can see where your favourite driver will be starting tonight. So off row 1, Jason Martin, he got pole position with a 29.893. He'll be starting down low with Joshua Carroll Walden starting next to him. Out of row 2 tonight, we have Norman Clark starting out of 3rd, Matthew Cloward starting on the outside in 4th. Looking back to the 3rd row, keep an eye on Thomas Hinz tonight and see how he goes. He's joined on the grid by Danny G starting out of 6th. Out of 7th we have Edward Foster and 8th is Stephen Williams. So starting right behind them in 9th is James Zeitz and Phil Otto out of 10th. Out of 11th is Riley Curtis and he's joined on the grid by Bruce Smith starting out of 12th. Looking down the grid to 13th we have Daniel Stevens and he's got a dancing partner of Tim Dawes next to him. Out of 15th is Craig Lawless with Dave Douglas starting behind him out of 16th. Looking back to 17th we have Dwayne Priest and Roger Clark will start out of 18th. Out of 19th is Josh Mickelmore. He did not set a time, nor did Darren McKenzie, who'll start in 20th. Mirko Dortnack also did not set a time. He is starting out of 21st. And Kai Sloggett, who also did not set a time, should be starting out of 22nd.
And what a fantastic sight that is, seeing Norman Clark starting 3rd on the grid there, Bernie.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, great stuff. Well done, Norman, on that qualifying effort. As the boys start to roll away behind the pace car to get things underway, Bernie.
Yep, we're getting ready to go racing here very shortly. I was going to say the other R word, but I'm not going to use that. Any cliches, but it's definitely going to be good. And I tell you what, I'm excited for Norman starting on the 2nd row there. If things go his way tonight, I'm expecting him to be very, very strong because, we've seen him when things go right, he pulls something out of the bag and surprises a lot of people with his strategy. And I'd like to see that tonight.
Yeah, actually, it'd be a great sight to see him bring it home in the position he's starting in. But Norman, at that pointy end of the field and the way Norman drives and the strategies that he normally runs, I would expect him to do very well tonight. I expect him to, barring unforeseen circumstances and incidents, I would expect to see him run pretty much in the pointy end of the field all night long and bring it home in a strong position. But it would be great to see him get on the podium. Since he started in 3rd, at least finishing in 3rd would be a wonderful thing.
Yeah, it certainly would, and can see them coming through ready to start here now, and we're underway. Nice clean start here, and already Jason Martin has taken the lead. Josh Carroll Walden next to him, looking further back. The 54 is sitting there in 3rd, and Norman Clark going low in 4th, defending from Danny G in the number 24 as they go too wide up the back straight here.
Oh, yeah, look, what a good start. Nice, clean start. In fact, if we get the start for this that we had on Monday night in the trucks, the first 25 or 30 laps will go green, and you'll see some fantastic side-by-side racing. It'll take a little while for the guys to settle in, keeping in mind the weather conditions here, and it's a little bit slippery. It's going to be very interesting to see how the guys actually deal with that and keep the cars pointed in the right direction, Bernie.
Yeah, well, that's it. And we'll, no doubt they'll be feeling their way around the circuit, see what they've got under them, see what the track's like, and if they're comfortable. Of course, fixed setup, there's not a lot they can do with it apart from just drive around it, but it is the ultimate equaliser when it comes to this series.
Oh, look, absolutely. And as they're coming around through turn one, you can see there's not much of a difference. There's not too many guys, although they're starting to move to the outside line now. But everybody pretty much kept it low and on the inside coming around through that first turn. As they, we've got, is that Thomas Hinds. Looks like he's sitting up there in about 4th or 5th position. And Norman Clark still holding on to 3rd, but there's a little slight gap forward to 2nd place, and then Jason Martin still leading.
Yeah, and we're riding with Thomas Hinds at the moment, sitting 7th. Right in front of him is Edward Foster, and he's driving for the Riley Curtis racing team, that's for sure. I thought it might have been Riley at first, but Riley's behind Thomas. So he's in a bit of a Riley sandwich at the moment.
Yeah, he is. The easiest way to tell them apart is Riley runs the lime green car and Edward runs the white one. Tim Dawes is also part of that team, and he's a little bit further back in the field. Tim actually sitting back in about 14th position at the moment.
Yeah, so as they settle into the groove here, folks, your top 10 are Jason Martin. He is leading by 1/10 of a second. Joshua Carroll Walden, he's going with him. Not going to let him have it all his own way tonight. Quite a bit of a gap back to 3rd, and that's Matthew Clowett there in the number 54, and he's got Danny G hunting him down. Looking further back to 5th is Norman Clark. He's dropped a couple of positions, but looking strong. And then we've got Edward Foster and Thomas Hinds going side by side here. Thomas has the inside running. We'll see if he moves up a position. It looks like he will, and that'll bring Thomas up to 6th. Edward Foster down to 7th. Looking further back, we have Riley Curtis in the 93, coming under a lot of pressure from James Sykes in the 19. And rounding out the top 10 is Bruce Smith in the number 12.
Yeah, there's some good racing going on here, isn't there? Thomas has taken that position, but Edward's certainly not letting him go. And Edward dropped in behind him, and he'll try and move back up onto the rear of Thomas's car and take advantage of the draft and wait for an opportunity to slip by and take that position back. But Thomas is certainly not getting any closer to Norman Clark at the moment, who is actually catching Joshua Carroll Walden. Matt Clowett. And then Joshua Carroll Walden in front of him, of course, who's trying to keep tabs on Jason Martin burning.
Yeah, we're under yellow here at Texas, folks, and I'm just having a look back to find if we can find what has brought that yellow out, and it looks like we have Phil Otto around. I can see him. The number 7 Kai Sloggett is also involved in this. So let's jump back to that replay and just see exactly what happened to these guys. So we're having keep an eye on Phil Otto here, folks. He was one of the cars involved in this, and we can see a lot of smoke already. And I'm trying to, and it was Kai Sloggett that actually spun first. And we'll go back and have another look at that. But have a look at the damage on Phil Otto's car. That's looking like one of those cars from the Wreckfest, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it looks like he's carrying a bit of damage. That was Kai Sloggett. It looks like he's come off the outside wall and then he literally spiralled it across the track. And poor old Phil Otto looks like he may have just been collateral damage in that one, Bernie.
Yeah, we're just having a look at this again in the super slow-mo. Let's see if we can actually see it. He actually got together with the number 08, and that's what started all that. And we can see him into the fence, coming back out, and the 66 squeezes past. Roger goes down the inside, but Phil Otto, he's just nailed him, hasn't he? Right on the corner.
I think that looks like there's a bit of net code involved in that one, because the 08 car, is it Daniel Stevens? It didn't look like they made contact, but the immediate consequence of that was Kai Sloggett getting out of shape and spinning. Josh Micklemore very lucky to escape that one without any damage.
Yeah, it was by the skin of his teeth, wasn't it, that he escaped that. Now, looking at the start here, folks, 10 laps down, we're going to go green next time by. You can see Craig Lawless, he's going around in the 444. Mirko Dortnack was behind him, but Mirko's just dived into the pits. So he's decided it's time to do what the rest are doing. The first of the pit stoppers is Jason Martin. He did a stop of 15.6 seconds. So this is quite interesting here, Steve, because the only driver that has not stopped is Craig Lawless in the 444. The rest of the field have come in to take tyres and a splash.
That may actually do good things for Craig Lawless. It took about 25 to 30 laps for the tyres to really be useless and beyond their lifespan in the trucks at this same track. So after only 9 laps, I can see why Craig didn't pit. He'll be taking the chance that there'll be another pace car probably in the next 15 laps or so before his tyres are used.
And it was a good testament to the strategy of the teams, wasn't it? Because we saw Mirko behind Craig. Mirko's manager would have said, how positive are you? And he would have gone, give me tyres. And they asked Craig and he would have just said, no, stick with the strategy. I don't care what everyone else is doing. This is what we're doing.
Yeah, well, he's actually...
as it comes into the pits. So there you go.
He's had a change of mind.
Yeah, they probably said the second time, are you sure? And he's probably gone, probably not. Let's do this.
Yeah. I mean, he's had 10 laps on those tyres, so, you know, there's at least another 15 in them they're raceable. It'll be touchy, and a couple of the turns here wouldn't like the laps with the tyres with 25 laps on them. But at the same time, I think he may have been on the right track if that's what he was thinking, because it's only lasted 9 laps before we got a pace car, and I don't think we're going to last another 15 or 20. I think we'll see another one in about 10 to 12 laps time.
Yeah, and he comes back out onto the track in 20th, so he could have stayed out, and I don't think he would have slipped 20 positions in the next 10 laps or so, but you know, they know what they're doing out there. They can see their the telemetry. So
it's a roll of the dice, Bernie. It's a roll of the dice, and you make the decision and you work around it.
Yep, so we're waiting for the pace car to come in. They're coming in now. We'll be back racing very shortly. Jason Martin goes. Joshua Carroll-Walden, he's got caught napping, and they're banking up behind him up the top. See the 19, that's Zeitz into the wall. He continues on. But I'll tell you what, Matthew Clowett, he's back up into second position, and both him and Jason are starting to leave Joshua in their dust as Joshua's still trying to come up to speed.
Oh, look, Matt Clowett would have seen Joshua Carroll-Walden falter at the start there and balk on putting the foot down. He got caught completely unawares by the way Jason Martin restarted that in front of the pack, and Matt Clowett just took advantage of it. He would have been rubbing his hands together, Bernie. Oh,
yeah. He would have been going, thank you very much, because any position he can take easily is a position gifted, that's for sure. But Edward Foster now, he's starting to work on the back of Danny G here as they come up the back straight. You can see just ahead of him, Joshua Carroll-Walden in the 35 is going to lose another position as Danny G now goes on the underside of Joshua. So I'm not sure what's happening with Joshua at the moment, but he's just not got the speed that he had in the previous stint.
To be perfectly honest, I think everybody else was a little bit more on the ball with the restart, and he got caught napping. He possibly even had it in the wrong gear, and if everybody else is actually up to speed and you're still trying to get up there, it's basically going to have this impact, because I doubt very much there's a problem with the car. As far as I recall, he pitted for tyres. So it's just simply a matter that he got caught out, possibly in the wrong gear. Wasn't expecting Jason Martin to restart the way he did, I think.
Yeah, well, Jason's looking very strong, isn't he? And they've got to watch it. They don't want him to get away, because generally on those tracks, once he gets into this sort of groove, and he tends to do it all night, and he tends to get stronger, doesn't he?
Oh, absolutely. Look, I said before we started that this track will suit Jason Martin, and he'll get here, he'll run a clean line, and he'll run very fast, and he'll dominate. But the problem is, he does that at just about every track, regardless of what style of track it is. It could be a short track, it could be a 2-miler, it could be a 1.5-mile track. You know, it's just Jason Martin. It's the way he does it. And he would have to be pretty unlucky not to dominate tonight and lead from the front, at least for most of the race.
Yeah, and we're riding back here with Norman Clark now in 13th. He's having a good battle with Daniel Stevens in the number 66 just behind him. But it's getting quite interesting behind them. We've got a good little battle pack going on here with the 777. That's Dwayne Priest, Mirko Dortnack in the 62. And James Zeitz is just off the back of him in the number 19.
Look, the person who's actually suffered the most out of that pace car period, the restart, is the guy who started third and was running strongly until that little incident. And that's Norman Clark in the number 11 car. He slipped back to 13th place, Bernie, and he's being absolutely monstered at the moment by Daniel Stevens.
Yeah, he's finding a bit hard, isn't he? He looked really good in qualifying. He's just probably finding it difficult to adapt to the track conditions. I'm not sure, but you can see now we're riding with Dwayne Priest as he just brushes a wall, and we saw the 62 or Mirko Dortnack capitalise on that position.
Well, the number 98 car of Stephen Williams, Norman is actually gaining on him. He's closing the gap. And what you've got to keep in mind with Norman is he's a bit of a quiet achiever, and where it looks at the moment like he's back in 13th, he'll just eat away at this. He'll take him a car at a time, and he'll get Stephen Williams, and then he'll chase down Darren McKenzie. But what Norman will also be conscious of is he's got Danny Stevens sitting behind him, and he's no slouch. Daniel Stevens sees it any half an opportunity, and he'll make it a full opportunity.
Exactly right. And once again we're riding here with Norman down 10 positions from where he started, and can just see him closing in on Stephen Williams slowly but surely. He's getting some good momentum going now out of turn 4, but then as they exit, looks like Stephen's got a better a faster exit.
Yeah, up the front, Jason Martin's not having it all his own way. Matt Clowett's actually not seeing that far behind him. And when they came through that last turn, it almost looked like Matt Clowett was going to be able to pull alongside Jason Martin. But Jason's put a couple of car lengths on him now. And Danny G, of course, is racing down, is breathing down the neck of Matthew Clowett with Edward Foster after him. So at the front end, it's still getting fairly tight. Last week's winner, Thomas Hinds, on the road course, is sitting pretty close to the back of Edward, letting him know that he's there.
Yeah, we can see them as they go through from the roof cam here of Jason Martin, but we can see the field starting to get pretty spicy back here with the 53, and Thomas Hinds marching forward now, starting to put pressure on just behind them. You can see Bruce Smith, Joshua Carroll-Walden also battling it out, and some good close racing here as the 52-53 goes side by side into turn 1.
Yeah, Thomas is definitely making his move. Oh, they're getting very close to one another. That was some good door rubbing stuff right there, Bernie.
Certainly was, and it shows how much faith they both have in each other's driving abilities as they still going too wide down onto the tri-oval here. And you can just see the 53 of Edward Foster giving Thomas enough room. He knows he's there, and they're just racing beautifully.
And let's not forget Bruce Smith breathing down the necks of both of these guys, and he's waiting for half a chance. Bruce Smith is a great racer, and he's got his eyes on the prize at the moment, and he's looking for any opportunity to get past these two, because while Edward's trying to defend against Thomas, Bruce Smith's got nothing to lose in this battle, and he's right in it. This is now a 3-car battle.
And have a look at Edward and the way he's positioning that car. He's basically working out which one's the fastest one, and as is his prerogative, he's moving up and down from the inside line to the outside. But I tell you what, he's going to have to close his eyes, because Thomas wants to make this thing go almost 3 wide. Good to see Bruce Smith now getting that good run on the high line, but Edward's not done yet. Lifts a little bit though. Actually, he's got problems, possibly. He's lifted quite a lot there.
Yeah, I think he just lost a little bit of speed from the line through that turn. He didn't have the freedom and the flexibility to run the line that he may have wanted to run, because he was defending against Thomas, who was trying to move on the inside, and trying to chase down Bruce, who was on his outside. So that sort of limited his options a little bit, and I think it may have hurt his corner speed, which of course hurt his exit speed, and Bruce Smith just took advantage of it.
Yeah, now he's defending against the 35 of Joshua Carroll Walden, who's still trying to get that car back up to the top 3. But he's settled in now, and we'll see how he goes. Meanwhile, up front, Jason Martin has a gap now, folks, of 0.6 of a second over the number 54 of Matt Clowett. So Jason is now starting to let them know about his ability on these sort of circuits.
Oh, look, absolutely. And what we've also got to keep in mind is we see Thomas Hinds put a lap, I believe, on Phil Otto, who was collateral damage in that earlier incident. We're up to 19 laps on these tyres now, and if you've had a couple of misfires on your line through a turn, that'll actually shorten the tyre life. So I'm wondering whether that's perhaps what was the actual reasoning behind Edward losing the speed, because he has dropped off noticeably. Just suddenly, Edward Foster's not even in this competition towards the front with Bruce Smith and Thomas Hinds anymore, Bernie.
Yeah, well, we were riding with him as he came off the final turn, and there was a slight flutter in the motor, and then he started dropping backwards. So I was wondering if he had an issue there. We're actually having a look at the number 1 of Phil Otto here, and I tell you what, he's carrying a very nice style on his car tonight. I'd call that the Hoppet Brick.
Sorry, which car was that, Bernie?
The number 1, Phil Otto.
Oh, Phil Otto's?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So see the way the nose has that nice sharp cut-off line? That's pretty much how you like your trucks to look.
Mate, it cuts through the wind a lot easier.
Yeah. And there's a lot of wind up here in the commentary box, isn't there?
Every time I get somebody take out the one side of mine, and I just wait for somebody to take out the other side, and each time they do it, I just wave out the window and go, thank you.
Hoping that they'll balance the car for you.
Well, it acts a little bit like one of those cattle grids on the front of a locomotive, you know?
Yeah. So getting back to Edward Foster here, I'm just wondering if he's actually got an issue with the car, or if he's decided he needs to look after those tyres for a longer run.
I think it might be the latter one, Bernie. He's decided that with, it's 22 laps on those tyres now. I think he's waiting for an opportunity and praying for somebody to make a mistake so that he can actually go in and put some fresh rubber on, because those tyres just seem to go off in the blink of an eye. He was right in the thick of it 1 minute, and then defending, 100 metres further back the next. So Joshua Carroll Walden's all over him, but he doesn't appear to have the speed to make a move and get past Edward either. He looks like he's ready to pounce, but he just can't seem to pull it off.
Yeah, and while we're having a look at that action, folks, you can see the camera pack we're using tonight has been provided courtesy of Track Cams for Gourmets. If you like this track pack and you want to get it for yourself, you can go to trackcams22.com and purchase it from there.
And there's some great camera angles in amongst that, and that camera pack too. Different angles and different cameras for different tracks. A couple of the tracks actually have a spectator camera angle, which came in very handy for doing the highlights package for the trucks one week. At the track that we were at, it had a spectator mode, and I was able to get a really good camera angle for a lot of the shots that were in the highlights package using this particular camera pack, Bernie.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference, doesn't it, when you have a really good camera pack, and we're using all the camera packs from track packs from Gourmets in the Thursday Night Thunder, so you'll be able to see them every Thursday night and see just exactly what you get for your money.
Oh, absolutely. Another place you can check out to see what you get for your money is our series sponsor, APCS Computers. And you can actually find them on the website, on the coverage. So, yeah, for all your computer needs, just check them out, see if they've got what you need and the price that you need it at.
Yeah, and have you had an invite out there yet? I haven't had an invite to go and check it out.
He doesn't want to invite me out. It'd be like going to Santa's workshop for me, mate.
All right, I was waiting for you to say, oh, did you miss the launch party the other day?
No, I haven't been invited out because he knows I'm going to wear a really big heavy jacket that's got very deep pocket. Yeah, so you can stuff some stuff in there, no doubt, or is that all the money you're going to carry to spend? Motherboards, processors, you know what I mean. Yeah. I'm looking at building another computer, so I've got to have a word to him about that.
Ah, yeah.
But at the moment, back to the action. And we've plugged the sponsors and the camera pack, and we've done all the right stuff, Bernie. Let's talk about what's happening with Edward Foster. He's still holding off Joshua Carroll Walden. Josh Micklemore, who actually started towards the back of the pack without qualifying, is actually up to 8th position now, and he's got his eyes on Joshua Carroll Walden. But Edward Foster not able to make a lot of ground on Danny G, who's still trying to get the better of Matt Clowett at the moment. Ahead of him, Thomas Hins in 3rd. Bruce Smith is up to 2nd place, Bernie, behind Jason Martin.
Joshua Carroll Walden is in the pits now, the first to pit under green. See what sort of a pit time he does. You can see the pit crew, well, going to work. We can't actually see them working, but I assure you that's what they're doing. And he comes back out. 15.2 seconds was his stop.
Yeah, with the Bruce Smith is just taking this race by the scruff of the neck, and the only person that he needs to get by right now is Jason Martin. He's, just fantastic performance. I'm not hugely surprised because I know what a racer Bruce is, especially on a track that gives such fast racing. Daytona. We would nose to tail for 70 laps, and so I know what sort of racer he is. He's a good, solid racer, and he loves to run fast. This track, he'd be absolutely loving this at the moment, Bernie.
Sure would, and he's looking pretty comfortable out there at the moment, isn't he? You can see further back here, the 24, Danny G, Matt Clowett still going at it side by side. Roger Clark also getting in on the action in the 09, right behind them.
There's a 1.4 second gap, Jason Martin back to Bruce Smith. And then we've got around about another 3.5 seconds back to Thomas Hins, who's moved up to 3rd place. So he's got to pass Matt Clowett, who's still trying to hold off Danny G.
Well, Danny G just had them blow by on the high side and the low side. The big winner out of that was the number 9, and he's just taken off, hasn't he?
Oh, look, number 9. Oh, no, number 54 there. That's obviously Matt Clowett. Danny's going to get the better of him here in a minute, I'm pretty sure. And there's Josh Micklemore, only just saying he was 8th. And where he's sitting at the moment, he's in 7th. But they're bunched up at the moment, Bernie, so it's a little bit misleading looking at them on screen.
Yeah, if you're wondering about the 09, folks, that's Roger Clark. He's actually down 5 laps. So he's had something very bad go wrong with that car, and he's just trying to recover. The other cars in trouble out there was the number 1, Phil Otto. We saw him in the wall and Kai Sloggett was also involved in that. Craig Lawless, the 444, he was looking extremely strong earlier. He's actually down 2 laps now. Have you got a spinner?
Yeah, sorry, Bernie. I saw that start to go then, and yeah, Matt Clough, Roundy's gone, unfortunately. I'm not sure whether he had some assistance with that or whether he may have just done it on his own on dodgy tyres.
We'll go back and have a look at it though, because it has brought out a yellow here at Texas, and he got collected by a few cars there by the looks of it.
Just trying to actually see that as well. A lot of black marks on the road there from him doing his little snake dance. And, yeah, he's collected with quite a few, but the actual spin itself, I think he may have done that on his own.
Yeah, we'll go back and have another look. We didn't get a very good camera angle, but Joshua Carroll-Walden, 35, heavily into Matt Clough there. The number 10 going high, he had nowhere to go either, and that's Dave Douglas. And then the 08 also got in on the action, and that's Darren McKenzie, 62. Mirko Dortnack got caught up as well. So it's claimed some big names out here.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. He's done it all on his own, Bernie. I think his rear tyres might be a bit second-hand. I'm not sure when he last pitted for rubber. It may have been that last safety car period, pace car period. Yeah, it just simply, so the rear end of it just seemed to dance out on him. And from then on, he was just a passenger. So, unfortunately, he's also come together with some of the bigger names in the field who, up until this point, had actually been doing very well. Joshua Carroll-Walden, I think, may have been one of them because he's now suffered. He's gone back another couple of spots. James Zeitz, I believe, he came together with. So, yeah, there's a few names out there that would normally see a bit further up the front. I think this track may have caught a few people out with the weather conditions and the slipperiness of the surface.
Yeah, I'd say you're right there. I'm just trying to get the number of that MFR car. I think that might have been Daniel Stevens. Swept down the low line. It was Daniel Stevens, and he should go and get a lottery ticket because he just squeezed on the inside of all that carnage and he got through unscathed. But, yeah, there's going to be a lot of action now in pit road as we come back to live pictures. And a lot of teams are going to be out with those crowbars trying to repair them. But I think at a track like Texas, if you're involved in a wreck like that, there's only so much the team's going to be able to do to that car, and you're going to be way off pace for the rest of the night.
Pretty much, yeah. Look, depending on the amount of damage, you can either ignore it as an optional repair, or you're going to have to sit there and just wait the time out to get it fixed. If the damage is that bad that it's going to affect you having any chance of actually getting anywhere tonight, it's going to make it very difficult one way or the other, whether you repair it or you don't. So Phil Otto's now just rejoining on track, and I'm just still looking at Matt Clough, who's sitting there in the pits. So it'll be interesting to see how long he's sitting in there. Fairly big bang in the rear end of it, not to mention the damage on both sides of the front. So you're going to have to wait to see what he opts to do, whether he's going to push on with the damage or not.
Yeah, you can see James Zeitz now coming out. He's going to push on, and the 54 is going to be in there for a bit of time. And I had a look at it. It did look like he might have clipped that wall, which started the tail slapping, I guess you could call it.
Okay, but, yeah, the camera angle I was looking at it on, it didn't look like he touched anything. The rear end just stepped out a little bit on him, and at that speed and that position on the track, it just looked like he had no way to control it that well.
Yeah, you can see Joshua Carroll-Walden there. He dropped a lap out of that, but he's got that lap back as he's been waved through. So he's back on the lead lap. Phil Otto is also back on the lead lap. Roger Clark got the wave by. He's down 4 laps now. And Craig Lawless down 2. And Matthew Clough down 1. It looks like Kai Sloggett is out of the car, and they're pushing that back behind the wall.
Yeah, that'll go back on the transporter, but Bruce Smith will lead them away when the pace car leaves the track. And that's just going to be great stuff to watch him and Jason Martin going at it. And make no mistake, Jason Martin will be happy about this. He's a racer, and he would much prefer to be racing side by side, nose to tail, than to dominate the way that he has and the way that he did earlier in this. And we're away, Bernie.
Look at the first 4 cars. We've got Bruce Smith, Jason Martin, Thomas Hinds, Josh Micklemore, Darren McKenzie, Edward Foster, Danny G, and Daniel Stevens. I know that's more than 4, that's 8, but tell you what, that is one hell of a good field up the front tonight.
Oh, look, absolutely. I mean, this entire field for this whole series, I mean, they're all guys who, at any time on their day, can lead this race and get on the podium just about every week. And when you've got that sort of talent on track together at once, not everybody can squeeze onto that podium, Bernie.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. But the way ANZCAR does this and the way they structure their various series caters for everyone, really. So if anyone's watching this and they're wondering how to get involved, go to facebook.com/ANZCAR1. If you're a member of iRacing, search out Roger Clark and the ANZCAR League, I think it is. And they've got many things. You can start off in the Monday night trucks. If you get good enough, you will be able to get seeded in the Thursday night Xfinity. And of course, we've got the Cup Series, the pinnacle of the ANZCAR leagues. And I think, Steve, they have another one on a Tuesday night, don't they?
Yeah, Tuesday night is K&N cars, Bernie. Monday is the trucks. And that's basically our feeder series for the Xfinity cars. Tuesday night is the K&N cars, which is a lot of short track action, and in the K&N Pro Chevys. And then Thursday night, of course, the Thunder with the wonderful stream from RRTV. And then every second Saturday we have the Cup Series, which are full-length races. The next one that we've got coming up is the Food City 500 at Bristol on the 14th. So Saturday week, we'll be having that one as well. That's a C+ licence minimum. Tonight, the race, the Thunder Series, is basically invitation. They know who they want in the series to keep a certain level up. And in fact, Bruce Smith leading the race at the moment. Only 2 weeks ago, I think it was racing in the trucks. And in order to just lift the numbers a little bit in this series, they brought a couple of the guys across and gave them the opportunity to switch from the trucks to Xfinity. And it's certainly paying off for Bruce Smith now, Bernie.
It certainly is. He's got a gap now of 0.7 of a second and enjoying having a run out here. And he's led the last 8 laps. And so we'll see how he goes. But that's what I like about the series, is that not everyone can jump in. It's a certain level of driver that you have to sort of qualify your ability with the organisers to get a seat. But it's a lot of fun. That's probably enough plugging of ANZCAR.
We'll plug it all night long, mate. I'm not worried.
Well, the racing is a good advertiser. Yeah, exactly right. But it's really good. Like the mission of ANZCAR was always to bring NASCAR to Australia and make it a popular category of Australian motor racing. They're definitely realising that this year, and it's going to definitely grow in the future. And it's great on the health of Australian motorsport and New Zealand motorsport when we've got not only the V8s, but we've got open wheeler action going on. We've also got the speedway action going on, rallycross, and of course NASCAR, and it's pretty much has something for everyone.
Oh, look, absolutely, and a lot of it you can find right here on RRTV, Bernie.
Yeah, busy week here, streaming every night this week, but a lot of fun. But getting back to the action here, folks, let's have a look at the top 10. So Bruce Smith is leading 0.4 of a second in front of Jason Martin. Josh Micklemore 0.7 down from Jason in third, and then right behind him is Thomas Hinds. You can see Thomas at the moment on screen, and we're riding with Edward Foster, who's battling out for that 4th position. Further back, 1.5 seconds, is Danny G. Then Daniel Stevens in the number 66 is just behind him in 7th. 8th, Darren McKenzie in the 08. Norman Clark is in 9th position, and he's battling it out with Darren at the moment. And Stephen Williams rounds out your top 10.
Yeah, no, look, it's brilliant stuff. Number 11, Riley Curtis. Tim Dawes behind him. Teammates, obviously. And he's in 12th. James Zeitz in 13th. Dwayne Priest in 14th. Dave Douglas, 15th. Joshua Carroll Walden, after a couple of little incidents and needing to pit, is back in 16th position, trying to fight his way forward after starting so promisingly at the on the front row, I believe, wasn't it, Bernie?
Yes, it was.
So then we've got the guys behind that who are a lap down or have retired for the evening. Phil Otto, 1 lap down, still plugging away at it. Craig Lawless, who also started in the top 5, is 2 laps down at the moment. Roger Clark, 4 laps down. Matthew Clow at 7 laps down in 20th. Mirko Doutnak is 8 laps down in 21st. And Kai Sloggett, who obviously was carrying way too much damage and has parked the vehicle for the night, 45 laps down in 22nd position. And we've got a 0.5 of a second gap between Jason Martin in 2nd and Bruce Smith still holding on to 1st place.
Yeah, and we're over halfway now, folks. Well, we were halfway about 5 laps ago. I think we've only had 2 cautions here tonight at Texas for the folks that have just joined us. At the moment, Jason Martin has led 44 laps. He's currently sitting in 2nd. Bruce Smith has led the last 15. And he's got a 0.4 of a gap. One person that has started moving back up through the field is Norman Clark. He's back up to 8th. He's just got past Darren McKenzie. And as this race is progressing, as I was expecting, Norman's going to get stronger.
Oh, look, absolutely. That's what I was saying before. He knows what he's about, and he'll just work his way at it. He'll take the opportunities as they come, a car at a time, and slowly but surely work his way forward. He knows it's a long race. We've still got 48 laps to go. So Norman's got a lot of time, and if he continues on the way he is, then don't be surprised to see him in the top 5 or better. Somebody else who is now, since that last pit stop, so it looks like it was tyres after all, back up to 5th spot, that is Edward Foster.
Yeah, and he's settling into that position at the moment. Just having a look at Stephen Williams now trying to round up Darren McKenzie. If you're wondering, folks, how much you lose with a banged-up car compared to a good car, one could say, you can pretty much see it here. Stevens hasn't rounded him up yet, but just down even on the tri-oval here, he's just crawling all over the back of him.
Oh, look, this is the track that you can get away with a lot of damage a lot more easily at a short track, say Bristol or Martinsville, than you can at a track like Texas or Las Vegas, where you really do need that speed and that aero, and if you're carrying a lot of damage, you will suffer. It was obvious on Monday night. There was some very good drivers who were carrying damage, and they were just basically fodder. The lambs to the slaughter, because the guys who normally ran a little bit further back, they were running without damage and able to take advantage of it, just passing them, as you saw on the highlights package from Monday night. There were guys there who should never have been passed and would normally not be. So in this, it'll be the same deal, and anybody who's carrying any kind of decent damage will be finding it pretty tough at the moment to make passes and pick up position.
Yeah, well, they're also, like some tracks, when you've got that aero damage, you can tuck into the pack and get towed along, but does not look like that's the case for Darren McKenzie tonight. He's losing. He can't even stay up to speed in the draft. Just saw we're riding here with Dwayne Priest in 14th. He's in a great battle with James Zeitz, and we just saw Marco Doutnak come out of the pit, so the green flag stops have well and truly commenced here.
Yeah, and Bruce Smith's actually lengthened that gap. He's increased the lead. He's got over Jason Martin at the moment. He's got it out to a bit over 9/10 now, so it looks a lot closer than that. But according to the timesheet I'm looking at the moment, 0.982, and he's now got it out to 1.0 seconds. So Bruce Smith is absolutely in the groove at the moment. Martin will be loving the challenge. He knows he's got to work for this one. If he's going to win this one, he's going to have to beat Bruce Smith at this point, even though we've still got 42 laps to go. If these guys continue to run smoothly and take the lines that they are, they're going to be awful hard to catch up with Bernie.
They certainly are, and to underline that, if we look at the times as they come through, and Bruce Smith, he's pulling out 1/10 of a second each lap. He's been doing that consistently for the last 2 or 3 laps.
Yeah, no, it's good to see, basically from the point of view that it's good for the series. It's good to see different names. And as I said, Jason Martin's a racer. I mean, he'll be relishing the fact that he's leading the championship, because he knows that the races that he's dominated, he's done it because he knows what he's doing on track, and he's driven a wonderful race each week. But he'll be loving this challenge, knowing full well that he's got to catch Bruce, and he's got to beat Bruce to win this one, and he's going to work for it. And he'll be loving that idea.
Oh, he will. He definitely will. There's nothing worse than if you come to a series and you win it every single week in, week out. I know it sounds strange, but you know, these guys, as you said, they're racers, their teams are racers, they come to the track, they want to be challenged, and that's exactly what Jason is feeling tonight. And not only that, it adds to the spice of a great series. We don't let this go on the Formula One way.
Yeah, sorry, mate, you cut out there. I thought you'd finished talking.
No, I'll talk all night, mate.
Oh, yeah, look, you talk under wet cement, mate. Don't worry about that. Yeah, but I'm just as bad. I don't mind a bit of a chat. I started work at a place once, and in the interview, they said, if we give you this job, we're going to nickname you Have a Chat.
Have a Chat. Did you get the job?
Yeah, I did, actually. I thought I blew the interview, but anyway, they gave me the job. So, yeah, so I like a bit of a chat myself. So we're pretty well matched here in the commentary box. And if people don't mind us rambling on and doing the racing and talking consistently, then that's great. They'll enjoy the coverage, Bernie.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm just having a look at the chat channel there. It's looking lively as it always is there. So, folks, if you've got any questions and you're watching us on YouTube, you can put them in the chat channel and in the comments, and we will definitely get that. Anyone watching us on iRacing Live, welcome. I hope you're enjoying our version of NASCAR racing and having a great time, and as well as a shout out to everyone on Facebook and Twitch.
And I'm just keeping my eyes on Jason Martin at the moment. He's actually, that gap's widening. It's out to 1.43 seconds between Bruce Smith and Jason Martin. And just want to hark back to what you said before about, you know, with the winning week in, week out. I don't think it's the winning week in, week out. It's the way Jason has won some of these races. He's just been so completely dominant at some of these tracks that there's just no way anybody was going to catch him. And Jason gets into the groove on a track that he's enjoying, and he's just got his hands around. He's very tough to beat. And I think he enjoys this as much, if not more. It's not necessarily that he's been winning so many races. I think he would rather not win them the way he has with being so dominant. I mean, every racer wants to win. I mean, if you win every week, you're going, oh, yeah, wow, this is great. But, yeah, it's certainly with Jason winning some of them the way he did, I'm sure he would rather have had a battle like this on his hands absolutely every race.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to bring up the stats and see how many wins he's had, because generally when he gets out in front and he loves the track, as you said, it's like a steamroller. He gets his momentum up and no one can catch him or stop him. And tonight it's Bruce Smith that is throwing down the challenge. That gap now out 1.5 seconds. I have a feeling Jason now is managing his tyres and thinking about pit strategy and what they can do to get him back into this one. 35 laps remaining, folks.
Well, Bruce Smith's obviously not worried about his tyres at the moment. He's got the pedal to the metal, and he's just cracked 1.6 seconds ahead of Jason Martin. So he's got no problem with his tyres whatsoever. He's not even thinking about it. I think the only thing on Bruce Smith's mind at the moment is keep that gap on Jason Martin. Because if Jason Martin gets past him and gets away, laps we've got left, I think it's going to be 3 times as tough to catch up with him. So what Bruce is doing at the moment is obviously he's got the lead, he's taken it by the scruff of the neck, and he's just doing everything he can to hold on to it as long as he can, and he's just hoping that when the time comes that he really gets desperate for rubber, there's going to be a pace car so that he doesn't have to pit under green. Because if you've got Jason Martin breathing down your neck and he's only 1.6 seconds behind you and you've got to pit under green, you can basically kiss the podium goodbye, baby.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And you can see at the moment the 66 now is it's a Danny and Danny show. Danny Stevens defending from Danny G. And I was practicing Danny G's surname, and I reckon I've almost got it. And I'm going to have a crack at it. So it's Danny. Yeah, I had it.
Greskowitz.
Greskovich or Greskovich?
I think it's Greskowitz.
Yeah, I had a couple of wines and it just rolled off my tongue. But now
that's probably the best time to say it, Bernie. Yeah. In all this, what we haven't actually noticed, because we've been talking about so much here and the quality of the racing and what's happening up front. Guess who's sitting in third place, Bernie? Josh Mickelmore.
Yeah, well, he's come from the back of the field, hasn't he? He's up 16 positions, and as he does, he just ploughs through the field, doesn't he? And he's doing it tonight. Great run by Josh, and sitting in third comfortably. Yeah, he'll be very happy with that run.
And then you've got Thomas and Edward. Thomas Hins, Edward Foster. Daniel Stevens is sitting in front of Danny G at the moment. And then we've got Stephen Williams, Norman Clark, still sitting in 9th, but he's in the top 10. Unfortunate that he doesn't look like he's going to finish quite where I'd hoped he would. But then Darren McKenzie in 10th. Riley Curtis and Tim Dawes are still going at it, teammates, in 11th and 12th. In fact, Tim better behave himself. Riley owns the team. James Zeitz is sitting in 13th. Dwayne Priest is 14th. And then from that point onwards, we've got Craig Lawless 2 laps down in 15th. Dave Douglas still fighting away at 2 laps down in 16th. Phil Otto 4 laps down. Fighting Phil is in 17th at the moment. Mirko Doutnak 18th, 15 laps down. But I'm just taking a look, make sure he's actually still out there on the track. Yep, there he is. Good old Mirko, he's actually fighting pretty hard there at the moment. And Joshua Carroll Walden sitting in behind him. No, actually, I think Josh has actually put the car away. It's on the transporter at the moment. And that means that Roger Clark, Matt Clowett, and, of course, Kai Sloggett have all done the same thing, and they're all out.
Yeah, they're all sitting up there in the corporate boxes, probably sipping champagne or something, no doubt. But, yeah, 3 retirements. I'm just having a look at our statistics here.
I don't think Roger's drinking champagne, mate. I think he's having a cup of tea. He's a bit of a teetotaler, isn't he? He doesn't like alcohol or something?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the bloke that well. He's he lives across the ditch. Mate. Yeah, he lives across the ditch, mate. So I don't get that side of the world. But looking at the statistics here, after 8 rounds, if we... What?
Oh, no, sorry. Somebody just ran into the pits at about 225 miles an hour. And, yeah, I didn't actually catch who it was, Bernie, sorry. But there was a big screech of tyres. They went in there absolutely at speed.
That might have been Phil Otto, or it could have been the 42 of Tim Dawes.
No, it was Phil Otto, mate. Yeah, the blue car with the purple bits all over the front of it.
Let's go back and have a look, and then I'll get back to my boring statistics.
Sorry, mate. Yeah, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but first I saw the blue car and I thought it was a purple one. I thought Jason Martin had come to grief.
Yeah, I reckon it's a 42.
No, it's not number 1. I'm looking at Phil at the moment. He's sitting in the pits.
Yeah, but further on was the 42, and a lap later came into the pits and pulled it up. But anyway,
Riley Kurz is actually pitted right behind him, so we've got the green flag pit stops underway again, Bernie.
Yeah, Jason Martin's in there at the moment, stopping, so it'll be interesting to see what his crew can do here for him. And we'll see.
Bruce Smith's just entered the pit lane.
Yeah, so see how this shakes out. As we see now, Jason Martin coming out, 15.5 seconds was his stop. Have a look at Bruce Smith as he's coming in to take service, and we'll get that pit time up for you, folks. And see, it's really 3 things here, isn't it? 4 things. How quick you can get in and maintain speed to the pits, how quick you get serviced, how well you get out, and then how much time it takes you to get up to speed. But 15.117 seconds, so he's beaten Jason Martin's team by 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, and Jason Martin's just put a lap on him.
How the heck could that happen? They pretty much hit at the same time,
maybe he hasn't
didn't
put a lap on him, but he did pass it.
Yeah,
there it goes.
Yeah, so he's got ahead of him. So the pits have definitely worked. Well, we'll see what Bruce has now. I wouldn't write him off yet. He can gain by 1/10 of a second each lap.
I'm not writing him off by any means, but he's now a lap down. So if there's a pace car, he'll at least get the lucky dog, which will give him a fighting chance with, about 22 laps to go. Josh Mickelmore is leading this race with Thomas Hinz in third and Darren McKenzie, Thomas Hinz in second and Darren McKenzie in third. Then we've got James Zeitz, Jason Martin. And, there's something going very strange. Oh, yeah, everybody's pitting. So the timing's all over the place.
And just checking the timing again, Bruce Smith actually is on the lead lap now. He's the last car on the lead lap, but he's a fair ways down. 2 seconds off Jason Martin.
Yeah, he's actually been put back on the lead lap because everybody else has pitted, Bernie.
Oh, okay.
That's what I sort of stumbled over there as I was going through the top 10, and all of a sudden the positions began changing back and forward, and wondered what the devil was happening, and realised that everybody from 7th place onwards just gone a lap down, so they must all be pitting under green.
I knew exactly what was happening.
You've got more screens to look at.
Yeah. So anyway, can I get back to my statistics here?
Yeah, you read your statistics, Bernie. We're all listening eagerly.
Yeah, you're going to interrupt me as soon as I say something. So having a look at the statistics, out of 8 rounds counted, if we look at Jason Martin, he's won 4 wins out of 8, so 50% hit rate there. Josh Mickelmore has won 1 round. Thomas Hinz has won 1 round. Danny G, he has won 1 round, and Jake Maloney's won 1. They're the only guys that have shared the prizes. If you have a look in the top 5s, once again, Jason Martin, 6 times he has finished in the top 5, 7 times in the top 10. The next challenger is Josh Mickelmore. He has 5 times in the top 5 with 6 times in the top 10.
Okay. Yeah. No, it explains a lot.
Yes.
Being Josh Mickelmore leading this one at the moment with 17 laps remaining, Bernie. We've got Josh Mickelmore leading, Thomas Hinz in 3rd, James Zeitz 5th, Jason Martin back up to 4th, although I believe he's actually around about 15 seconds off the leader. Bruce Smith's behind Jason Martin again, and we're waiting to see what happens with from 6th place onwards because of the green flag pit stops. Edward Foster, Danny G, Norman Clark, Stephen Williams, Daniel Stevens, Darren McKenzie, Dwayne Priest, Riley Curtis, all 1 lap down, and then 14th position, Tim Dawes is 2 laps down. So not good news for those guys at the moment. That's what happens when you've got a pit under green, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly right, and that's what they're all finding out there tonight at the moment. But Josh Mickelmore now is leading 0.6 of a second behind, well, in front of Thomas Hinds. Thomas is coming at him though, and we'll see what the times are as they come across the line once more. And yeah, Thomas has taken out 1/10 of a second, which is expected because he'll be in that draft well and truly, and they'll close up. But these guys still have to pit, and the question is, can they stay out there for the next 15? I very much doubt it, but if they did, they're going to put Jason into a very big hole tonight.
Yeah, look, I'd be very surprised, Bernie, because even if they manage to stay out, they won't have the tyres to put up a huge challenge, I don't think. I mean, Jason Martin's right behind Thomas Hinds. Bruce Smith's chasing Hinds down again, and they've only just pitted a few laps ago. So Josh Mickelmore and Thomas Hinds, unless they bought their tyres from Norman Clark, I think they're going to have some issues.
Yeah, well, looking at their timing there, they're losing about 1.2 seconds a lap to Jason Martin at the moment. He's screaming through with his lap 31.157. Mickelmore 32.825, Hinds 32.629. So the longer they stay out there, the worse it's going to get.
Pardon me, and we're down to 13 laps left. So even if they pitted now, I really find it hard to believe that pitting under green now, with 13 or 12 laps to go, their race will be run. They are better off just holding on, staying out there and doing the best they can. If these guys on the newer rubber catch them and pass them, so be it, and I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But if they pit now, then it's all lost, it's gone. If they want competition points, they need to stay out there, push on for this last 11 laps, and take what they can. We're under caution, Bernie. Somebody just did them a favour.
Someone did. I'm just trying to work out who it was. And generally when you have a caution come out, you want it out, but you don't want to be the one that brings it out. Just having a look. Do you know who brought it out?
I'm seeing a car at the side there. Norman Clark is actually sitting on the infield.
All right, let's go back and have a look. I don't know if I want to see this because I was cheering him on tonight.
It's sad to see. I'm actually trying to actually see what happened to him, Bernie. I'm just flicking through. Where are we? That one there. Okay. And I'm going back through mine, but you've got the official replay, so we'll take it from you.
Yeah, so just having a look at him coming down on the tri-oval now. And he was up behind, can't get the numbers, going on the inside here of the 42.
That's 42, yeah.
Yeah, as they come through turn 1, side by side. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, he got contacted by the 42, which turned him, basically.
Yeah, he got a touch and spun him.
Straight into the inside wall, very hard, though.
Yeah, number 42, because that's Timmy Dawes. Okay. That surprised me. He's not. Yeah. Maybe I'm not updated on trading paints for this, but I didn't realise that was Tim Dawes. Yeah, number 42, of course. The livery didn't look familiar to me. So that's a shame that Tim made a bit of a boo-boo there and taken out Norman, who was on a bit of a charge there too.
Yeah, he certainly was, and we had an update on his son, Roger Clark, in the Rd9. He basically said he had to retire that car because he had clutch trouble. He kept on peaking under power, was the words he used, and they just had to park it.
Truth is, he drove past the pits, saw that they were all eating ice cream, Bernie.
Yeah, that's about right. So I'm just having a look in the chat channel there, and one of the viewers said that they haven't heard me so chatty in a long time. Well, there's a good reason for it, and that is because I'm up here with you, and I've got to carry my own, because if I don't, you'll be talking all night.
Look, yeah, step aside, Bernie. I'll take it over. Don't worry about that. Yeah, look, as we've already alluded to, we both like a bit of a chat, Bernie, so we're perfect for this.
Oh, exactly right. I was actually having a dream about you the other night, Steve, but I'll tell you off air what that was about. No, it wasn't anything to do. It wasn't anything to do with that, mate. It's to do with your radio channel.
Oh, okay. With 131 Web Radio.
That's it.
The series sponsor for the ANZCAR Monday Night Truck Series.
Yeah. So I was
131webradio.net, by the way.
There you go. So that was a good plug, and we rehearsed this all week, didn't we? Okay, let's have a feed in about some dream, then we'll plug the sponsor. I'll tell you what. Look who's leading this race when we go back to green, and that'll be Edward Foster.
Yeah. Look, I hope he does, because then I can just avoid the ANZCAR admin messenger service, because he'll be absolutely stoked with having a good race here. And if he can actually hold that spot for the next 10 laps, wow, he's going to be one happy guy.
Certainly will. And we just saw Mirko take that car back into the pits again. He's been struggling tonight, and but he's going to see the race through.
Yeah, he hasn't had a good run, Mirko. He's not used to seeing him out of the picture, so to speak. He's sitting down in 16th at the moment, 15 laps down. But sometimes it's just the hand that you get dealt, and yeah, just very strange. Although, as we said before, it's difficult to say who in this series should be at the front and who you're used to seeing mid-pack, because the field is full of talent. The level of drivers that are in this series, that's why we have such good racing. It's why it's so entertaining, and that's why it makes for such a good live stream, Bernie.
Yeah, it certainly does, and hopefully all the viewers are enjoying it. If you like what you see, folks, it'd be really great if you could give us a thumbs up. It really helps us. If you don't like what you're seeing, just send us a comment. Let us know what we need to do to make it better for you, because I'm definitely wanting that feedback to improve our series. And here we go, and Edward Foster's in the wall. We're going to have a restart. Edward Foster's in the wall.
Oh.
So we'll go back and
look at what happened there.
Yeah, well, we've had Mickelmore in, Foster's in, and Zeitz was involved in that. And Edward Foster is carrying a huge amount of damage. Let's go back and try and get a decent angle of what has happened here.
Did he get a bit of a tap or something, did he, Bernie? Because I missed that completely then.
He's come across the front of Josh. I'm just going to go back and have a look at this. Try to unpack exactly what's happened here. We're going to go to super slow-mo, and we might even freeze it and see if we can work this out. But it's very bizarre. He was on the inside. I'm not sure if he's got a tap by Thomas, but he's come straight across the nose of Mickelmore here.
Yeah, I'm still actually trying to find that myself. There we go. Oh, yes. Oh, he's done it under power, Bernie.
He spun up the tyres.
Yeah, he spun up the tyres under power. He's gone for the early start rather than waiting for the line. And it looks like he's just turned it under power. Yeah, that's exactly what's happened. Oh, he'll be down on himself for that. He's taken 4 or 5 cars with him. And Norman Clark into it as well, yeah.
Yeah, we can see the aftermath there. Norman getting cleaned up there, back onto the infield. We'll go back and have another look at that, folks, very quickly before we have the restart, and we'll ride with Edward in here. I won't say anything. You can just listen to what it's like to have an incident in a NASCAR. that was bizarre, you know, because even after the wall, you could still hear the tyres spinning up.
Yeah, that's quite strange and very, very out of character for Edward. But it looks like that's exactly what's happened. He's been leading the field away from the number one spot, and when he's put his foot down, he spun the tyres up and the rear end stepped out on him, and it looks like that's exactly what's happened. It's just speared straight across into the wall across Josh Mickelmore. But, well, look, that's what's happened, and yeah, look, he'll be down on himself for that. He won't be happy. He was leading this, and he had every chance in the world with about 5 green laps to go, and that's happened. So, look, unfortunate for Edward, and it's a real shame to see, but he'll get over it, and he'll just kick himself for a couple of days, Bernie. He'll be right.
Yeah, I can see his brother's pretty much summed it up there. There's going to be, what coulda, shoulda, and woulda, maybe. It's just bizarre, that one. It's I don't know.
I won't expect to see him on the chat afterwards. He'll be he'll finish the last few laps of this, and then he'll probably go and find somewhere to hide for a couple of hours and cool down, because he'll be upset with himself for sure.
Yeah. So, but I tell you what, we're going to have the pace car lights are still on here. We're probably going to end up with a 1-lap dash here, and Jason Martin's going to lead them off. We're going to have Bruce Smith on the outside of him. Out of the second row will be Thomas Hinds in the 52 and the 98 of Stephen Williams. Looking at the third row will be the 66 of Daniel Stevens and the 93 of Riley Curtis. Then going back to the fourth row, it'll be Darren McKenzie in the 08, Josh Mickelmore in the number 2. And finally, getting back to the fifth row will be Edward Foster in the 53 and James Zeitz next to him in the number 19.
Yeah, I think we might be lucky to get any green. Has the lights gone out on that pace car yet, Bernie? Nope.
No.
And we're about to go on the lap 109, so I think we're going to finish the way we are.
Yeah, well, I've got 3 laps remaining on the board. 2 laps remaining now. Pace car lights are out, so we're going to have a pretty much a 1-lap dash.
I'm registering lap 109 for Jason Martin. That's all.
Okay, I've got 108 on mine.
Yeah, all right. I'll trust yours before I trust iRacing, I guess.
Well, I'm getting the feed from iRacing, so I don't know what the difference is. But anyway, so strap yourselves in, folks. We're going to have a 1-lap dash here.
This is going to be a drag race.
Is it going to be the number 21 or 12, or is someone like the 52 or the 98 going to come out and take the win tonight?
Well, that's it. You've got Stephen Williams and Thomas Hinds right behind them. Daniel Stevens is going to want a piece of it. But with 1 lap, and you've got Jason Martin and Bruce Smith in front of you, and they're going to drag race for a lap.
Exactly right. Riley Curtis is back there.
I'm trying to think how, this is going to be pretty exciting stuff. And let's hope nobody makes a boo-boo.
No, we want this to go green to the end. Here we go. Jason Martin gets it down.
Jason's going and Bruce is trying to go with him.
Yeah, he spun the tyres up. We've got a poor start there. Hinds is behind him in third position at the moment. I think the winner's going to come out of these top 3 as Martin is starting to get that gap, and Hinds is coming out now onto Smith.
Bruce Smith's moving up onto the back, and Bruce has lifted his foot there, thinking he was going to give Jason a tap, and he's lifted his foot just to play safe, and that's just put about 2 car lengths gap in it. He's going to be very lucky to actually get close enough to make a move. So Jason Martin's got his foot down and he's keeping it there. Bruce Smith in second, Thomas Hinds in third. I think that's going to be our podium, Bernie.
That's definitely the podiums, and Stephen Williams finished in 5th position. So that's your top 5. We'll take you through the field very shortly. But it was all over Red Rover when I saw Bruce there spin his tyres up on the restart. And if anything, when he lost that momentum, he was lucky he didn't lose that position to Hinds.
look, he'll be happy. He'll be happy with second place, getting on the podium. He's been in this series. This is what his third race now for this series. After coming from the trucks, he was chomping at the bit, asking about being moved up and stuff like that. Now he's had his chance. Third race in, and he's sitting on the podium. Bernie, second place. He had a chance to win it, just didn't quite play out for him properly. And Thomas Hens, first place last week on the road course. After really pushing hard all night, he's managed to bring it home with a third place on the podium. And Jason Martin is going to do the winner's burnout.
There he goes. Yeah, I was going to say Bruce Smith's definitely made his presence felt here. Not only did he come in second tonight, he's led 40 of those laps. And, you know, and he was pulling that gap out on Jason Martin as well, which Jason is one of the fastest drivers out there. And the only other cars that have led a lap is Josh Micklemore. He led 15. And the other car was Edward Foster, led 2 laps, and Craig Lawless led 1. But how long does it take before this car blows a motor?
A lot longer than before it blows a tyre, I imagine.
I don't think you blow tyres in these things, do you?
Nope, there goes the motor. Nice work, Jason. Love it.
Yeah, I think he was listening to us.
So, it's okay. You're allowed to blow an engine doing a winner's burnout. When you blow 2 engines while you're actually in the middle of a race and you've gone from 23rd to 9th in 20 laps, you need to hang your head in shame.
Yeah, definitely. And let's go through the final results here, folks, so you can see where your favourite driver finished this evening. So having a look at Jason Martin, he takes the win tonight, and great job. Bruce Smith up 10 positions to come home in second. Awesome drive by Bruce there. Thomas Hens finishes in third. Steve Williams in fourth, up 4 positions. Josh Micklemore, he'd probably get the biggest mover and shaker award. He was up 14 positions to finish in fifth. Riley Curtis comes home 6th. James Zeitz in 7th. Coming home in 8th tonight is Daniel Stevens, and then Daniel Grishkovich, Danny G, in 9th. Edward Foster comes home in 10th. Tim Dawes finishes in 11th. Home in 12th was Darren McKenzie. Finishing 13th tonight was Norman Clark, followed by the 444 of Craig Lawless in 14th. Finishing in 15th was a 777 of Dwayne Preece. Mirko Dortnack in the 62 comes home behind him in 16th. 17th was Dave Douglas. Phil Otto holds on for 18th. Now we're into the retirements here. Joshua Carroll Walden was classified in 19th. Roger Clark classified in 20th. 21st, the 54 of Matthew Clote. And Kai Sloggett, our first retirement, classified in 22nd.
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Kai as well, but that was all the collateral. That was all the consequences of what happened in that incident that he was involved in. And yeah, because he went out fairly early, 97 laps down, so he's gone out on lap 20 something. In fact, I think that incident was what triggered our first pace car period, first caution. So, unfortunate for Kai. He's a good racer, but unfortunately, yeah, that's the way these things go sometimes, as we all know.
Yeah, exactly right. And we've got some drivers waiting for an interview. We can either, do you want to go straight to the winner's circle, or should we have a chat with Thomas Hens in the 52 first?
No, yeah, bring Thomas up. That's fine. Yeah, good day, Thomas.
Hello, how are we going?
Not bad, mate. Third place tonight. That's
pretty
good.
Yeah.
You won last week and back on the podium again this week, so you must be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Happy to still get a third out of it, considering it all kind of kicked off at the end. But but a bit interesting because of that, how it all panned out at the end. Because as for listening on in game chat, mate, picked it up. Me and Josh were going to the end basically, so we weren't going to pit before that last few cautions. And I was good to go to the end. My fuel numbers were lining up nicely, and I think Josh's were too, by the sounds of it. So we could have had a really nice duel to the end, and we had obviously Jason and Bruce coming out as having stopped. So yeah, it would have been a pretty intense finish, but unfortunately I had had that caution at the end that kind of put that to bed.
Yeah, we were wondering about that because we were actually talking about what was likely to happen. And at that point, I think there was 12 or 13 laps left. And we were talking about it, and I said that at that point, to pit under green, you could forget about it. And the two of you were better off staying out there and salvaging what you could against the guys who are on fresher rubber. And within about 10 seconds of saying that, the caution came out. And I said, "Oh, well, somebody's just done him a favour." You know?
It's. I think looking, I was keeping an eye on Jason and Bruce as they were sort of closing on the relative, and I think we could have potentially just about kept ahead of them. Maybe it would have been close. I reckon it would have been very close at the end because they were closing, but especially obviously after the first sort of 5 laps when the tyres prime has worn off, the times evened up a lot more. So it would have been really interesting. But fortunately it's not how it worked out. And, it's just racing, and of course we had that unfortunate moment for Edward there. Just got the bit of wheel spin there, which is especially around Texas, Atlanta as well. These kind of low grip circuits, it's really easy to do that off the start, especially in these cars. So mistake we all make. So a big shame for him because he was on for a good result before that. But still managed to get through that and get a third. So I guess considering things, I'll take it. Which podium's a podium. You can't be unhappy about that. So another good result, more points than the champ.
Mate, I'm glad you actually raised a point in all that. Was the slipperiness of the track tonight? It's something that we discussed 2 or 3 times tonight, especially right at the start of the broadcast. Was the trucks on Monday night did not have that issue. I raced here on Monday night, and I had an absolute ripper. I had grip. Everybody had grip. We also, I think we only had 2 caution periods, maybe 3 in 120 laps. And I don't think anybody actually had any issues with the grip. So when I saw how slippery it was for the Xfinity cars tonight, in practice especially, I was very, very surprised. Was it really as slippery as it looked out there tonight?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, once the tyres passed, obviously got past the kind of initial prime time of about 5 laps, they really started to sort of slowly fall off, and then after probably about 25-30 laps they got to that, because I noticed that with these cars anyway, it seems they have their prime, they kind of slowly fade away, and they get to about a certain point in the stint where they're pretty much just stagnant. If you look after them all right, they'll sort of have their prime, slowly fall, and they'll get to this point where they just kind of stay roughly the same for a pretty long period of time. So if you can kind of look after them, they can still hold off okay at the end. But they were, at the end of those long runs, they were getting really slippery. It was being really gentle on the throttle, like really smooth, inputs on the throttle out of the corners. So it was certainly, as the stints wore on the longer ones, it was probably getting as slippery as it looked, I'd imagine.
25 or 30 laps on Monday night in the trucks, and you're praying for a caution. In fact, when the first one came out Monday night, it was something like lap 30. And I think everybody in unison was thinking about green flag pit stop. Everybody just breathed a sigh of relief because we were all about to. And all of a sudden it came out right when we needed it the most. But it was slippery. I just think Monday night, it was slippery after we pulled 20-25 laps on the tyres. Up until that point, I don't think we had the same issue. So it obviously possibly came down to track conditions, temperature. It was very, very hot at this track for this race, 90-something degrees in Fahrenheit. So it was obviously got something to do with it.
Yeah. I'm kind of the opposite though. I like it to go green longer because my strengths come with the longer green flag runs, because I seem to be able to look after tyres a bit more than others, because my raw pace isn't quite as up there with the guys like Jason so I tend to sort of get back in the longer runs. So for me it's the opposite. I like to see green flag runs and just keep them going because that's where I get back. But it was certainly interesting, with the pace cars or the cautions where they were, they're all bit all over the place over the race. There was no pattern, so to speak. It sort of threw up some different strategies. And as we said at the end there, as Jason will probably tell you in his, he was saying on the voice comms there, I think he and probably Bruce did as well, actually did have fuel to the end, but they decided that it was actually, they thought it'd be quicker to get tyres and chase us down, which is interesting. So it was really cool to see that working up at the end, and I think it would have been a really cool finale. But yeah, unfortunately, cautions happened. But obviously, with such a hot track, it's understandable there were a few cautions tonight. But still, had some good green flag running, a good little one-lap dash at the end, some good battles. So yeah, fun night.
Well-deserved podium, mate. I mean, you sort of having a bit of a good run at the moment, with, like I said, with the win last week and back on the podium this week, and really it was more circumstance than anything else that kept you from moving up another spot, really. You and Josh. I actually thought that that caution at that particular moment would have really done you a big favour, because then you would have come out with brand new rubber and been able to absolutely go hammer and tong against guys whose tyres would have been about 8 or 10 laps old by that stage. So it just didn't work out the way I thought it would. And, well, that's racing. It's the way it works, isn't it, really?
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you can never really predict it. So, as I said, it was good fun in the end. Texas definitely, always does throw up some interesting racing, being one of the kind of lower grip circuits of the ovals, a bit like Atlanta, similar like that, both very low grip circuits for the stock cars. So, yeah, especially when you get a bit of heat in there as well, it really makes it a very interesting race. So, no, very good fun, as always, as is every week. And, yeah, looking forward to next week to hopefully keep the streak going. It'd be nice, but, we'll see. You never know. So, just give it the best to go.
Good luck with it, mate. Look, you know what it's about. You know what you've got to do. So everybody in this series are here because they've got a clue. So you can all drive, and you can all drive well. So that's why you're here, and every one of you knows what's required to actually get on with the job. It's only circumstance that you've got to deal with as it comes up. So congratulations on the podium. And because I wasn't here last week, congratulations on that. I did see the replay of that race, and I thought you drove a fantastic race last week.
Thanks, Steve.
So great news on that, and good to see you in the winners. On the podium at least, and the winners' circle last week. So good luck for next week, mate, and thanks very much for that.
Yeah, no worries at all. Thank you guys for the broadcast, and see you next week.
No worries. Anybody you want to give a shout out to or thank anybody?
Yes, good point. I should do that real quick to keep old Brent happy. So Sim Racing Collectibles, for one, I want to thank them as Jay's new little adventure in Sim Racing Collectibles. So big thanks to him for allowing us to pop the logo on the car. Really appreciate that. Obviously, Rat Corp, Cash Centric as well. Usual, big thanks to them for their continued support for us. And as always, big thanks to the team for just being awesome and, making it a very happy environment for racing. So thanks to them too. And as I said, thanks to you guys, as always, for the broadcast and the organisers for, putting together the awesome series we have here at ANZCAR.
No worries. We're happy to have you here, mate. It's great racing. So, good luck for next week, and congratulations again. Thank you, Thomas Hinds.
Thank you.
What do you want to do now, Mr. Weemers?
I just had to get Thomas out of the combox. That's the first thing. He was trying to steal all our champagne and stuff.
I saw him actually. I didn't want to say anything. I thought it looked like he was trying to slip a bottle in his pocket, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, he was, but I caught him. Don't you worry about that. Let's go.
Yeah, nothing gets past you old dog.
That's it. Speaking of champagne, let's go and spend some time with the winner. That's Jason Martin. Maybe he might have some champagne we can steal off him.
Jason Martin, here we are again.
G'day, mate. Good to see you back in the booth.
Yeah, no, it's good after a couple of weeks away. A little bit under the weather last week, and just wasn't really feeling up to it. Couldn't have exuded the enthusiasm if I had actually been here. I would have put everybody to sleep. But fantastic race tonight, mate. I bet you absolutely enjoyed that challenge with from Bruce Smith and that last 20 or 30 laps.
Yeah, that was great fun. I think he had me on the long run, so I was glad when I got them yellows. It really helped me out.
Yeah, no, it was good to see. He opened up a fair old gap on you there for a while. It blew out to about 1.6 seconds before you both pitted under green.
Yep, and I pitted one lap extra, and then that was enough to get me back in front, and that sure helped out a lot.
Yeah, no, it was good racing. We discussed what was happening there with Thomas and Josh Micklemore when you guys pitted under green, and they decided to stay out. and they actually felt that they had the tyres and the fuel to go at it with both you and Bruce. But then we got the caution, and they didn't need to face that. So it made for an exciting finish at the end there. That one-lap dash, Bruce seemed to get a bit of wheel spin on the restart behind you, and just couldn't quite make up that couple of car lengths difference. So, look, fantastic driving, mate. And I said a couple of times during it, you would have been absolutely loving that, the challenge and the absolute side-by-side stuff and chasing Bruce down. That would have gotten the old adrenaline pumping, wouldn't it?
Yeah, sure did. That was good fun. I'd like to see more like that.
Yeah, well, that's right. But circumstances the way they are, it's just the way it is. I mean, you're a racer. You put your head down and tail up, and away you go. Look, we're getting some great racing at this track. This track, I've never turned a wheel on until Monday night, and it's on my short list of favourite tracks. This one after Monday, it's just a great track. It promotes good side by side and nose to tail racing, and usually at a fairly high rate of knots. So it's a great track for that, and we saw a lot of that tonight. Even with, as I said yourself, Bruce Smith. How did you find the grip level out there? Because it did seem to be a bit slippery, and Thomas brought it up as well.
Yeah, after about 15 laps, there was just no grip at all, and on exit, you'd just about lose it nearly every lap, so it was pretty tricky.
Yeah, because I was saying we didn't really face that on Monday night, so it had to be all down to the weather conditions for the track tonight, because it was quite hot. It was 90-something degrees Fahrenheit, so that obviously had an impact on it. I don't know what the weather conditions were. I think it was just on dynamic, but I don't know what the temperature was on Monday night for the truck race. But I mean, I won't say it was not slippery, but it certainly didn't seem to be as slippery as it was for you guys tonight. So you sort of had to tenderfoot it round there a couple of times, especially once the tyres got a bit old, mate, did you?
Yep, on exit I was having all sorts of trouble. I just couldn't keep it straight.
Yeah, well, you weren't the only one out there having trouble with that, that's for sure, especially once those tyres got a bit of life in them. So, yeah, look, congratulations. That's, I believe, your 5th win of the series. We've still got, I think, 5 rounds to go, something. So, still plenty of racing in it for you.
Yep, hopefully more like tonight's race.
Yeah, no, I know you love the challenge, mate. I know you prefer to actually race for your podium spots or your victories rather than be streets ahead. Not a lot of excitement in that for you, but satisfaction to a point. But I'm sure you enjoyed tonight the way that it actually unfolded. So that's great, and it was great to watch too. So. Tonight's winner, Jason Martin. I was looking at the wrong part of the list there for a minute. I just happened to look up and had the Freudian slip because it was Josh Micklemore's name that actually appeared in front of my eyes as I said it. So sorry about that. Jason Martin, tonight's winner. So congratulations to you. Anybody you want to thank before you go?
Just got to thank RRTV for the broadcast and ANZCAR for putting on the series. And, of course, all the drivers who put on a great show.
No worries at all. Good luck again next week, mate. Bernie, can you confirm these cars go to Bristol next week?
Yeah, mate. We're all 3 series will be at Bristol next week for the Xfinity. Yep.
All 3? Okay. Yep. No, that's good. Well, a complete turnaround there, Jason. So you'll go from having a bit of room to stretch your legs and get a bit of competition going to trying to avoid the other cars and stay in one piece.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. No time to relax at Bristol.
No time at all. So it's all a matter of last man standing at a place like that. All right, mate. Thanks very much for that. Thanks for popping into the commentary box, and congratulations. Best of luck for next week as well.
Thanks, guys.
Tell you what, Steve, I almost had that champagne until you called him Josh. Then he just snatched it away. Can't believe you sometimes, man. Anyway, so
shit.
Yeah, I was going to say, there you go, folks. That was Jason Micklemore, our winner tonight.
Jason Mickelmore. I hope that was on purpose.
Yeah, mate. All right, so we've got a couple more interviews to go. We probably won't get to all of them. So I'm just having a look at who we've got up there.
The problem with my interview style is it turns out to be more like a discussion.
Oh, that's all right. I prefer you interviewing them because I'll just ask stupid questions.
Well, that's actually what an interview's for, not sitting and having a chat. Anyway.
Okay, so we've basically got who would you like me to bring up? I can have a chat with them if you like.
Anybody but Edward.
Okay, all right, yeah. Okay, that would
I don't think he's going to be in the mood.
No, that'll be a tough interview. We might bring, where did Danny G finish? He came in 12th, so we'll bring him up. I know.
Bring Danny up.
Yeah,
get his impressions.
Yeah. Hi, Danny. Welcome to the RRTV Combox, mate, and congratulations coming home in 12th position tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about how the track was for you? We have heard from the front runners to say it was quite slippery. Did you find it a bit of a challenge as well?
Yeah, g'day, guys. Yes, definitely slippery, especially after 15, 20 laps on the tyres. Very greasy.
And what did you think of the standard of driving out there tonight? From what I saw, it looks pretty good, but from a driver's perspective, what did you think of that?
Yeah, no problems there. Everyone else around sort of raced good, except for that debacle at the end on the restart. But those things happen. But no, everything pretty well.
And did you have any major dramas? It looked to me like your race went fairly smoothly, but of course that's probably not the case. So can you tell the viewers a little bit about how your race went?
Yeah, no, the race started pretty well. I think I started 6th and I made my way up to 4th. I followed Matty Cloud into the wall at some stage, gave me a little bit of damage, and I fell back in the pits, and then just sort of started to work my way up. Thought I was looking pretty good for a top 5. Then that sort of all that stuff happened at the end on the restart, and I think I raced back to 9th at the end.
Fantastic. And what's your final thoughts on Texas? Is this a track you like, or is this a track you the opposite of like?
No, actually, I don't mind it. It is the old layout, though. I think Texas revamped itself and the banking came down, so I'm pretty interested when iRacing sort of update that. But no, this old track's pretty fun.
Yeah, definitely looks like a lot of fun. And finally, mate, have you got a shout out for all your sponsors and everyone that helped you get that car on track tonight?
Yes, MFR Racing. What have I got here on there? Auto Kings, West End Mazda, WPC Concreting, RacingLeagues.com, and of course you guys for putting us on the air.
Fantastic.
And the ANZCAR admins for organising it.
Yes, thank you guys.
Considering I'm one and he's another.
Well, thanks, Danny, for coming up for an interview. Can you let the guys know? Unfortunately, we've run out of time for any more interviews tonight, but hopefully we'll get to talk to them next week.
Yeah, not a problem. Thanks, guys.
Right,
could I just have 2 seconds with Bruce Smith, please?
Bruce isn't up there.
Oh, he's not in the room? I can't see it. Sorry.
If he was in the room, he'd be up here.
Yeah, no, okay. I was wondering why he didn't appear.
Yeah, no, we don't. I was hoping Bruce would have popped in for a chat, but unfortunately he's not there. Or else I would have definitely brought him in.
A bloody antisocial mongrel. Not you, him. I'll have a word with him, I think.
We've still got poor Danny in the combox. He's stuck between us and he's trying to separate us. Anyway, Danny, thanks, mate.
He's not a very wide person either, unlike us.
Well, he just walked out, so now
yeah, I know. He's got the craps about it now. All right.
You're going to have to explain yourself.
I told him he should have offered him champagne and caviar. Got it sitting there. It's been there for 3 days, but we've got it sitting there.
Well, we've got to get rid of it somehow. Anyway,
all right, then.
Let's get back to it.
I'll let you close us off, mate.
I've got more to go yet. Thanks for everyone tuning in tonight. Looking at our schedule for the rest of the week, we've got the Australian Online Supercar Championship coming to you tomorrow night on RRTV. We have Daniel Leet and Bailey Hall doing the commentary. I hope to be doing the broadcast, depending how I pull up. I'm having dental surgery in the morning, and I'm going to be very, very sore. So if it doesn't go ahead, it means either I'm on a lot of drugs, or B, I'm on a lot of drugs and we couldn't find someone to broadcast it. So,
the length some people will go to get out of doing a live stream.
Yeah, I know.
You're even going to get half your teeth pulled out.
That's exactly right. So that'll be tomorrow night, and then Saturday night we are supposed to be bringing you the GT3 doubleheader, but again that will depend very much on how I pull up after tomorrow. But keep an eye on our Facebook page for that. But as far as the NASCAR action goes, next week, folks, we are off to Bristol. So Steve,
I was just thinking.
Yeah, so we'll have a breakdown of the Monday night race next Thursday night in our half-hour pre-race show. When we come to Bristol for Xfinities, they're going to do 185 laps around this bad boy, and that's going to be fun. And then we finish our triple header, and that is with, let's bring it up if I can find it. No, is that one? Yeah, so the triple header next Saturday at 14th of April, we'll be bringing you the iRacing Monster Energy Cup cars from the Bristol Motor Raceway. Full length, they'll be going for 500 laps, 266 miles. Our pre-race show will include full qualification of them, as well as a catch-up on that great series. But this is pretty much is the, I guess, pinnacle of ANZCAR. So it's going to be some awesome racing, I think.
Oh, look, yeah. You know what the problem is running Xfinity cars, especially Xfinity cars and especially Monster Cup cars around a place like Bristol? There's good news and there's bad news. It's only a really short track, and you've only got to do it 500 times.
Yeah.
So that's. I'm not looking forward to it myself.
Yeah.
Watching it, yeah. Driving it, no.
Well, you're going to be the in-car commentator, aren't you?
I don't even know whether I'm actually running in the cup race.
Just pretend. Just sit on your esky and go broom broom and just pretend. It'll be fine. We'll paste a car on the camera to make it look like you're racing or something. But
I'll make car noises and stuff too.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of action, folks, for the folks that like different styles of racing. Monday night, Alex McKellar and his crew will be bringing you the Skip Barber Monday Night Lights, and then Wednesday night we'll have the Australian Speedway League Australian Championships. If you didn't see that last night, come and join us. It's basically a night of speedway action. We kick off with the street stocks. They do all their heats and main A and the main B and main A finals. We then bring out the dirt midgets. They have their series running, and then we end the night with the big bangers. The Sprint Car 410s come out, and it's a great night of action. And if you like your speedway, definitely tune in on that. But that's pretty much all the plugs I have for tonight here, Mr. Hoppert.
Yeah, that's it. You've run out, have you? You've run out of things to say. That doesn't sound right.
Well, we've only been going for a couple of hours, so I guess so.
Yeah, that's okay. I've given up on any sleep at all tonight, so that's okay.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in tonight. I'm going to wrap this craziness up.
Good night from me and good night from him.
He even took my sign off. There you go, folks. Have a great night. We will see you again next week when I'm sure the comedy will continue.
Doubt it.